Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Let's Play Total Annihilation. I am your host, Neruz, and this is ARM Mission 2. It's time to dispel some of that ignorance that you have been blissfully hoarding up till now, and I'm going to explain some basic gameplay mechanics and what exactly all these things are. To begin with, I'm going to tell these guys to move down here. Just get them out of the way for now. And we'll focus on this guy. Some enemies. This guy here. This guy is the commander, and he's the most important unit in the game. In a multiplayer game, you actually start off with only the commander, and nothing else. You have to build everything just from him. So as you would expect, he could build things. I'm going to have him build a couple of solar collectors. Solar collectors are the basic way of getting energy, or at least the cheapest, reliable way of getting energy. And here's a solar collector. If you look in the bottom, you can see that there's a little green plus 20. That means that it produces 20 energy per tick. And if I want, I can turn it off and have it produce no energy per tick. But why would I want to do that? Well, while it's folded up like that, while it's off like so, it takes about half as much damage from attacks as it normally would when it's open. This is important, and they do actually automatically fold up when they take damage, which can be really handy. Next up, I'm going to put a metal extractor on this shiny patch here, which, as you may have suspected, is metal. It looks metallic, it's probably metal. And metal is the second resource, as you may have gathered, energy being the first. One moment. Our two resources are displayed up here. As you can see, we have metal on the left and energy on the right. As you can also see, we have our current value, which is underneath, and then our maximum value, as well as our global input and global output or usage. It's important to note that you cannot have more of a resource than your maximum storage. Any more than that just gets wasted. There are ways to increase that maximum storage, but they require access to buildings that I can't build yet. So I'll explain those when we get to them. Let's have the commander build some more structures. Well, let's have these guys head across this river here. Now, these guys up front are called Peewees, and they are the basic ARM combat K-bot. K-bots can be considered basically like infantry. I mean, they walk around on legs, and they're fairly cheap, but they're also fairly fragile. Peewees are armed with these little machine gunny things you see, which are called EMG weapons. EMG weapons are the primary reason why ARM are amazing. Only ARM get EMG weapons, and EMG weapons are really powerful. In fact, they're so powerful that back in the older days in multiplayer games, EMG weapons were often banned, both due to being unsporting and due to the fact that in large masses they would completely crash the game. Fortunately, my computer is more than beastly enough to handle a few EMGs, so I'm not bound by those limitations. Speaking of K-bots, let's build a K-bot lab. K-bot labs are where you produce K-bots, as the name suggests. And as you can see, there's a whole bunch of grayed out structures here. Some of these we'll be getting to build in this campaign, others we won't because they are units from one of the expansion packs. We'll get to build those in the expansion pack, of course, but not now. While we wait for the K-bot lab to finish, let's explain this guy, the Hammer. Hammers are basically grunt/artillery K-bots. They have a relatively long range, and they fire indirect fire plasma projectiles. As you can see, they have a little time where they have to deploy, but after they've deployed, they can fire away. And as an example here, boom. See, it just fires away. Hammers are an excellent general-purpose unit. Generally, Peewees are a bit too fragile to be using for anything other than scouting. And I mean, this Peewee's almost dead, so I'm just going to send him down here on a suicide mission. Oh, there's a thud, and he's dead. Now this guy is a Rocco. Roccos are basically, if the Hammer is artillery, then Roccos are like, I guess, indirect fire artillery again. It's kind of difficult to give simple roles to these guys. Roccos fire rockets, which are unguided, relatively slow moving, but extremely high damage. Rockets do a lot of damage. They do it in an area too, as well as the hammer's plasma balls. And here we can see our three guys. Here's the Pee-wee, here's the Rocco, and here's the hammer. We also have a fourth guy, the Jethro anti-air K-bot. I'm going to build a couple of those to show you them off, but we're probably not going to use too many of them in this mission, because while I do like Jethros, they're actually not all that useful, all things considered. At least, not at the moment. They're absolutely invaluable if your enemy is using aircraft, as the name suggests. As you can see, metal extractors on these deposits produce 1.7 metal per tick, and consume 3 energy per tick. That's right, certain structures and units actually require energy in order to function at all. If I run out of energy, these metal extractors stop producing metal, so it's imperative to ensure that you never run out of energy. You may also note that my totals have increased slightly. With every construction unit I build, my total will increase by 100. This is not actually the best way of increasing your total limit, but it's a nice sort of little bonus on the side sometimes. But now we have a Jethro out. Let me show you what Jethros can do. Jethros are extremely long range and fire homing missiles. Homing missiles travel very fast and home in on enemies, as you'd expect from the name. However, they don't do a whole lot of damage. I'm going to have the Jethros go down here and help reinforce this, while I construct some Pee-wees and some hammers. Why am I building Pee-wees? You're probably asking, especially considering that I just said that Pee-wees are terrible. Well, I have a special secret reason, but I'm not going to tell you what that reason is. Not yet, anyway. This guy here is a light laser tower. We'll see the core version of those later, but I won't build any now because I'm on the offensive, not the defensive, and I don't want to waste money on defense structures I don't need. No, the music's gone. Yep, I'm afraid this bit's a bit boring, because I'm basically building some stuff. However, we do have these units down here, and if I'm careful, might be able to launch an attack. Be very careful though, because there's thuds down there. Oh, something's in range. Ah, we got an AK. The AK is the basic core infantry K-bot. They're the core's version of the Pee-wee, and they are a piece of shit. AKs are terrible. There's really no reason why you would ever actually build an AK. The computer only really has them in campaign maps to give you some fodder to blast through, basically. In an actual game, I don't think you would ever bother with building an AK, because they are really that bad. You might possibly want to get 1 or 2 for scouting, but that's about it. And here's this why Pee-wees are awesome. Now you may note that units can in fact attack while moving. This is really important, because shots are realistic, do follow a parabolic arc, as everything's done within a simulated physics system, and because units have a limited traversal speed on their turrets, it's possible to basically juke enemy shots by moving around. Units will try and lead their targets, and with varying degrees of success. Some units are also just inherently inaccurate. As you can see, the Pee-wees are usually pretty good at being accurate thanks to their EMG weapons and relatively fast turning speed, but the hammer is not so much. Let's send some more Pee-wees down here, along with that hammer. And let's start moving these guys up a bit and see if we can get the drop on those thuds. Oh, there we go. Now the thud's going to run away. But that's okay, because we've got a pincer force coming from the other side. Oh, Oh dear, we're being engaged by a light laser tower. That's the core light laser tower I was telling you about. The core have a couple of those, and light laser... oh, there's another one. Light laser towers are really powerful. Hey, look at this. Look at the chunks it's taking out of this hammer. Light laser towers will fuck you up if you are not careful. Now down here we've got another patch of metal, but it looks pretty small. And that's because it is small. In fact, if I build a metal extractor on there, it will only produce, I think, about 0.8 metal per tick as opposed to 1.7 for these metal extractors. There are different sized metal deposits. They do produce metal at different rates, and securing the really big deposits can often be the difference between victory and defeat. Ah, we have found the enemy core K-bot lab. This is the target, our goal. And so I'm going to have the units move in, while the hammers sit on top of this little hill here and fire away. Now you may note that my units are not automatically attacking enemy structures. Units will not automatically hit enemy structures that do not fire back. They'll automatically shoot down the laser towers, but not the K-bot lab. We'll have to manually order them to do that. So let's do that. And as you can see here, the metal extractor is only producing 0.8, and it's still draining 3 energy per tick. Sometimes it can be worthwhile to not bother to put down an extractor on a really crappy deposit, but in general it's worth it. There's the victory gongs. We're done. See you next time.